All right, everyone, it's Joe and Mike from buildassetsonline.com. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about why you should ignore high ticket dropshipping niche lists and what you should do instead. Now, this is a sort of me and Mike take a bit of a different approach on this, and I think we have very good reasoning. And if you watched last episode, Mike kindly referred to high ticket dropshipping niche lists as the sloppy seconds of high ticket dropshipping. I said things a little bit less raunchy. I said you're taking the crumbs from the table. So let's get right into it, Mike. Why are these the sloppy seconds of high ticket dropshipping? These niche lists.
Yeah, well, for one, the niches that you're getting in a high ticket drop shipping list that you'll get if you sign up for, someone's email list or however people promote it online are usually the niches that are already kind of out there and exposed. And that's not to say that there isn't success that can be had in these niches. But what I mean is that there's a lot more money to be had and a lot easier of a time achieving success in niches that have not been put on public notice. And so, we've explored so many different niches and product types within niches, and a bunch of them on niche lists, a bunch of them not. And we've had success, in basically all of them, not exclusive to whether it's on a niche list or not. But when you just take a look at a niche list, and I'll say, okay, I'm gonna go with this product or this niche, and then you just look at it from that point of view. It's the wrong way to look at things, and it's going to be the wrong perspective if you want to have long-term success. So, I think what we would prefer to do is, instead of looking at something from the point of view of a niche, look at something from the point of view of a vertical and then a product type within that vertical. So if you want to give them an idea of what a vertical is and go a little bit more in depth there.
I actually don't. I'm not that familiar with that term, Mike, so you might have to explain what a vertical is. But I do want to add
Yeah.
something to what you said, and then we'll go back and talk about the vertical thing.
Hmm.
I know what you're talking about conceptually, but amongst
Hmm.
ourselves, I'm going to be honest, we never really use that word. So I'm not
Hmm.
sure. But anyway, you said that it's not guaranteed. If you use a high ticket dropshipping niche list, you could still have success. But what I want to add to is that it takes a lot more expertise to have success in that area. So if you're going to go after something that's higher competition, say a product type that's higher competition,
Hmm.
you better really be on point with your ad campaigns and your tracking, and really making sure that you have a good system in place to say where someone is searching for something generic. Just say they're searching for a head term, what we call a head term in the world of query advertising. Say they're searching for dining room table, and you're planning to convert off that term. You better have a good plan in place, and maybe you better be ready to take a loss on that, just to get the customer in the door, which is actually what a lot of people do with Google advertising. And this, you can see it especially with lower ticket stuff, is if you Google like pencil, people are actually advertising to sell you a pencil. And it's not because they want to make money off that pencil, it's because they want to get you in the door. And I think the same could be said about like a Wayfair. Like Wayfair, if you look at their ad campaigns, you can bet dollars to donuts that they're that they're losing money on some of their ad campaigns. It's just because they want to get those valuable customers who buy that type of stuff in the door, on their email list, on their remarketing list. But if you're just starting a store and you want to make a profit quickly, it's a bit of a different game. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like I said, the if something is more exposed as a product type, then it's gonna be natural that there's gonna be a lot more competitors on it. So yeah, your ad campaigns are gonna have to be a lot more optimized. You may have to be willing to spend more per click, which is something that starting out I don't think people want to do. You know, we at this point will spend up to $4 on a click for something that we care about even more if we know that that term is going to convert. But starting out, you're probably not going to want to do that if you haven't had much success yet. And so if you are able to find different product types that have not been explored, then the competition is going to be much smaller and you're going to wind up bidding, you know, less than a dollar, 80 cents, 40 cents for a click. And if you're going to make a few $100s off of a sale, then it's really just much easier to make profit.
Cool. So explain what you mean by a vertical. Because
Yeah, and
honestly, I
so
wasn't.
maybe vertical isn't the best way to describe it, but a vertical and how I envision it is kind of like um a way of looking at an industry. So something that could be a vertical would be like the prison system, right? And so we actually sold products to a correctional facility recently, but so a vertical you can look at it in different ways. Say like a restaurant, you know, like a fast food restaurant. What type of products would they need? And then within that you have a bunch of product types.
Right. So
So
what does a what
fast
does
food
a
restaurant would be like a vertical.
so what does a
But
correctional facility need to keep running? To run its operation. So you're
yeah,
thinking in terms of that.
unless yeah, you can think of it like that. Less in terms of essentials, more in terms of things that it may have to, you know, just for correctional officers and stuff like that. But that's I don't think that's a beginner's friendly way of looking at it. What's easier to do is just browse around sites like, you know, Webster on Webster on Store, Hay Needle House, see what is being sold there, and then based on what you see, branch off into different but similar product types.
Right. Yeah, I was doing this with a student. I had a coaching call on Sunday night, and he brought up something that was a very very basic. It was a very basic product line that you can find it at Home Depot and Lowe's. You go there, they're sometimes sitting right outside,
Hmm.
or sitting inside, and he's like, "Oh, that seems too generic, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, that on its own is too generic." But then I was going on. I think I was on Wayfair and just typing in, kind of seeing what there was, seeing a few unique modifiers that you could type in that makes a generic product a special product that maybe someone who is an enthusiast of the types of products would buy. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It's like
yeah,
if you're a PC, if you play PC games, um, you might not go out and buy just a generic PC from Walmart. You might want a custom PC with the latest and greatest, or you want to build it yourself. So you got to think of those entirely different markets. You got to go and really brainstorm what those could be.
and I think as products get more expensive, the competition and the specialty, well, the competition goes down, and the specialty nature of it and the enthusiasm for that particular type of thing goes up because at that point you're weeding out the commodity level buyers, people who just want the cheapest price, they just want the basics, right? And then after that, you're sort of marketing to the affluent. Shout out to Dan Kennedy and his book Marketing to the Affluent. But yeah, so there becomes a certain point where people are willing to spend outside of what the market value is for something because they enjoy collecting it. They enjoy the more sophisticated version of these types of things. And so when you're something looking at something on a niche list isn't going to give you that sort of insight.
Yeah,
But if you take the niche and then you branch out and find the things that are more specialty within that niche, and also even completely different niches or product types that are related that you will most likely not find until you're actually in the trenches calling suppliers, getting price lists and stuff like that, then that's when you have real winners on your hands.
yeah, and I think it makes logical sense too. And I never really thought about it this way, but it does make sense because a company like Lowe's or a company like Home Depot, they're not really interested in marketing to the specialty user because it doesn't make sense for them business wise because there's probably not enough of them out there to make a
Yeah.
dent in their billions and billions dollar company. Whereas, if it's just you and you sell something for $10,000, but you sell one a month, that makes a huge difference to you. But that's not going to be a drop in the bucket for Home Depot.
Yeah, and that's really the secret. That's how you weed out competing with all of these Walmarts and Wayfairs and Lowe's. Because I remember at one point, I think you remember this probably too. We went to Home Depot to like look at niches. Do
Yeah,
you remember that?
I remember that. Yeah.
And I think like none of them that we found in the entire store wound up panning out.
No, everyone we
It's because
searched was like 50 plus competitors on Google
yeah,
Shopping, like crazy.
yeah. And so one of our big takeaways was that competing with these types of stores can't be your business model because when it comes down to basic commodities, um, they're going to beat you every time. They have it stocked. They have it at the lowest price, and you're just never going to win. But if you can be that specialty person that can talk to the customer on the phone or have just a really good website that has a bunch of specialty things, then customers will gravitate towards you and you can be there to provide that personal customer support that they may want. And so you're marketing to a whole different industry at this point. And it, again, less people are willing to go there because they may have some preconceived notions that it's more expensive or that it's harder. It's actually easier. And that results in bigger profit margins.
Yeah, part of the reason that they're going to beat you is because they want to beat you and they're trying to beat you. Like I just said, they have an interest in beating
Yeah.
you if the customer base is big enough. If the customer base isn't big enough, they don't really have an interest. Their marketing team isn't going to be focused on it, period. And
Yeah.
everyone
But
on the
sorry, that's not to say that things you sell won't be on Walmart or Home Depot or Wayfair. Um, they very well can be, but for the example of Home Depot or even Walmart, if something is stocked by Home Depot, then you should avoid it.
what
But
I'm
if something is on HomeDepot.com, like the supplier can go and list that themselves. So it's not really like Home Depot is doing a big marketing push towards it or
yeah, yeah.
they're pushing it. It's just it could be on the site. Don't let that discourage you. But I think people should get the idea of what we mean.
Yeah, yeah, good point. Yeah, don't just because it's on the website doesn't mean that that it might not be a good it's not a good product. But what I'm saying is, and what Mike alluded to here is that the corporate team at Home Depot, the marketing team, they have an interest in moving the inventory they have stocked. That's what they get graded their performance on. So, the SEO team, the Google Ads team, the whatever social media ads team, they're in the meeting room. They're thinking like, hey Ron, how do we move all these
Uh,
how do we move all these dining room tables this month? And
yeah,
I don't know, crank up the ad spend. Who cares if we lose money on it? Because if they're not solely drop shipping, they're thinking about way more factors than you. They're thinking about like turnover. Like they might not even care about making money. They just want to get the inventory out, get the cash flow in. And so it's a totally different mindset than you need to have. And we've actually got a little bit of insight to this ourselves when we met with the CEO of one of our suppliers. And you kind of just learn that as a small operation, a small drop shipping operation, you're playing a bit of a different game than a huge company.
yeah. And just one last thing on the Home Depot note, they're actually super easy to beat in Google Ads because they cannot pay the attention to specific products, specific brands, specific item numbers that you can pay attention to. So they're really easy to outbid and outsell.
Cool.
So it's yeah.
Cool. So I think we've kind of covered conceptually what you need to do. Mike, you can kind of sum it up as to sum up the reason why you should ignore high ticket dropshipping niche lists and, give someone a little bit of a sound bite for what they should do instead.
Yeah. Niche lists are not what is the word? Niche lists are not a good way of describing how you should approach your business. The way that you should approach your business is to find specific product types that people are looking for that are not commodities that you can advertise with little competition, and that will result in higher profit margins and cheaper ad spend.
Got it. Sounds good. So if you're doing this right now, sit down with a nice cup of coffee, a cup of Joe, and really relax and enjoy the process of research because, once you get in the mode of it, you're just discovering new things all the time, and it becomes easy. Niche
Mhm.
research becomes easy, and you don't even. I'm not going to open a niche list at this point because it's just a waste of time. I'll come up with 10 different high quality ideas in like 30 minutes than looking at a niche
Mhm.
list. So
And the real niche list is your supplier's price list.
boom, boom, dropping knowledge here, wherever you're listening to us, whether podcast, YouTube, whatever. Mike's dropping knowledge. Speaking of that, please like and subscribe. Leave us a comment on YouTube if you're on iTunes or another platform. Leave us a review or subscribe there. We really appreciate it, and it helps us continue these episodes that we hope are helpful. So that's about it for this one, guys. Don't forget to visit buildassetsonline.com/playbook where you can grab our free course, and we'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.